sleep, then you don't want to do anything. But it's just because when you have knowledge, when you lack knowledge, fear is present. When you know, fear leaves. Those are natural trade-offs. So that's why, but you look at it here on Saturdays, a lot of times people aren't used to participating because they're just used to being taught, or being told, I should say. You're used to being spoken to, listening, and when the person's finished speaking, then they leave. And they never participated, they never asked any questions, they never really got involved in their education. They never really got involved. And so as a result, their level of understanding is going to be significantly lower than people who do. It's like the people in the back of the class sleep are not going to know as much as the people in the front paying attention. The less involvement you have in something, the less knowledge you're going to be able to glean from it and therefore use in your life.
Giovanni put in the chat, teach the skill and require engagement, make a valuable impact. I needed that, coach.
There you go. And Giovanni, to answer your question from last week, took me a week to figure it out.
Oh, it's 7:01 too, so we can kick it off with that.
There you go. So welcome everyone. Welcome to another Mindset Saturday. It's good to have everyone. Always glad to see everyone here. Appreciate you, grateful to you, grateful for you. And we're going to get it jumping like we always do. Giovanni, wanted to start with you. You asked me a question: if I could have dinner with anyone in history, who would it be? In this journey of mine, my three favorite teachers are Neville Goddard, Dr. Joseph Murphy, and Rev Ike. Those are my three favorite teachers. There's a lot of good ones, but those are my three favorite teachers. And as a result, the person I would like to have dinner with the most is a man named Abdullah. Abdullah was the teacher of Neville Goddard and Dr. Joseph Murphy. Abdullah was an Ethiopian rabbi who was born, I think he was born in Ethiopia, and he lived in New York in the early 1930s. And he had lived there for that, but that was when Neville, my favorite teacher, met him. And he was the teacher of Neville and Dr. Joseph Murphy. In those times, there was segregation, obviously, and all the different things, and you weren't allowed to do a lot of things being a Black person in America in that time, whether sitting in certain places or going in certain places, or a lot of different things. And Neville always talked about how Abdullah would say none of those rules applied to him, and how because he was not barred in his mind, he could do all the things that he wanted to do. And he literally did them all, and nothing ever came of it. No one ever bothered him. No one ever said anything to him. He would go buy seats in the orchestra section of operas, with his own money, with his own face. It wasn't like he had Neville buy it for him. Neville used to talk about just how he would do things. And he taught Neville about the law of assumption, the law of acceptance. He talked about how to use your mind to change and create your life, and how it is actually changing and creating your life. And he talked about Abdullah's nerve and just how he lived with such certainty in the world because he was certain in his world about who he was and what he was, and therefore what could or could not, what would or would not happen to him. And he based that on himself. And that is who I would have dinner with.
I love it, Coach. I'm gonna have to get you on the podcast. But now the second part of that question was, what would y'all eat? What meal would y'all share?
I don't know. He can eat whatever he want to eat, and I'm gonna eat whatever I want.
Nah, you got to decide. That was the part of it, because that's part of the concept. The message is the food. What food of life? What food do you want to sit down and have this delicious dialogue with this historical figure? That's a part of the experience. You can't pull that away.
I would say, for me, I would probably say lamb. I'd probably say lamb. I'd probably say like lamb and spinach, or lamb and greens.
Okay, that's it. What y'all drinking? And just because he's from Ethiopia, I don't expect you to say coffee.
I don't know. I don't drink coffee. I wouldn't even have thought of that.
Me either. I'm just trying to make sure you think. What would y'all have to drink?
Well, Neville said he drank alcohol, but I don't. So I would say I'd probably have soda or water, and he could have, like, what do you say? He drank ale, and he could have ale.
Okay. Thank you, Coach Lucky. I'm glad I didn't have to give you an F on this assignment.
Oh, man. Boy, the tables turned on me. The tables turned on me.
Bonnie's getting ready for school. I saw her yesterday in camera. She was in her classroom doing her thing.
Trying to get
Man,
ready for all the Coach Luckies coming in a week late on the assignment, half
that's
doing
it.
it.
That's it. That's it. Get you a couple dozen red markers. That's it. That's it. Yes, well, welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. So today we are going to get started, and we are going to be talking about a lot today about who we really are and how to use the things that we have. So today I'm going to start off with a little video. So I guess you can pull that up, please. I'm going to start off with a little video. It's a series of shorts. It's probably about 5 minutes in total. We're going to go through them all, right? We're going to go through them all, and it'll probably take, so just the
reality.
Yeah, just the first one, just that one. And then you can click off and then you go to the next one. So it's going to be about 5 minutes, but they're all just shorts. And so it's going to be talking about a lot of the things that we talk about weekly. And I'm always looking for different ways to get this information to you, different people to get it to you, so that you see it's not religious, or it's not scientific, or it's not personal. It's all of it. It's not just one thing. It's not just for religious people, or it's not just religious. It's not just science and just for science people. It is just a way of living that when you are thinking properly, you think the same no matter what you are, whether you're a scientist, whether you're a pastor, whether you're a teacher, whether you're white, black, man, woman, doesn't matter, because there is only one truth. There's only one truth. There are people's truths, what they say is their truth, but that's their own personal experience, but that's not necessarily the truth. So we're going to go through all these. Like I said, it'll probably take about 5 minutes total.
If you want to change your...
So, and then we'll come back. So just listen to them all. If you want to take a note or two off of one of you here, you can, but we'll come back afterward and kind of just review it, see what you all think, and then move on to the next thing. So for each one of that,
If you want to...
It's just the first one. You don't have to scroll down to the next one. So just click off that one and go to the next one. Does that make sense? They're not in a row like that. Just that one. It's going to hit everything. Okay, everybody ready? Want to hear it? Here he goes.
Change your personal reality, you're going to have to change your personality.
Right.
If I truly want to be a new personality that's in a new personal reality, I can't take lack with me. I can't take unworthiness. I can't take the story that goes along with it with my parents or my grandparents or my ex or whatever. That story has to end. Nothing changes in your life until you change. If you want to...
We're really very powerful, and yet we have been programmed to be not powerful, and that's how other people control us. And I love my life because I go out and say, no, you are so powerful, you just didn't have the knowledge. Knowledge is power. A lack of knowledge is a lack of power. And we've been deprived of knowledge of who we really are. So when I go out there and I see people recover their lives from devastating diseases or whatever's going on, once they've taken the power of their mind and put it back. We're really very...
When you turn on the stress response and you can't turn it off, now you're headed for disease, because no organism in nature can live in emergency mode for that extended period of time. It's a scientific fact that the hormones of stress downregulate genes and create disease, long-term effects. Human beings, because of the size of the neocortex, we can turn on the stress response just by thought alone. We can think about our problems and turn on those chemicals. That means then our thoughts could make us sick. So if it's possible that our thoughts could make us sick, is it possible then our thoughts could make us well? The answer is absolutely yes. When you turn on the... And so the question is, can you reverse that process? Well, if it took you 5 years to create the health condition, you may have to work a little bit to reverse it. Yeah. But yet, we're getting so good at measuring and being able to teach people how to do this that it's not uncommon that we see people have a complete remission of a health condition in 1 week in a week-long workshop that we have. Yeah. Because they understand then they're going to be the governor or the ruler of their own thoughts and feelings, and they'll go through a period where they feel really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Well, that's because you're in the midst of change, but they're willing to do it as long as they understand that if they keep changing the way they think, act, and feel, there should be biological changes that take place in the body, and that's exactly what we see. And so the question is it possible then, if your thoughts can make you sick, your thoughts can make you well? That's exactly what our research shows. You keep thinking the same way, you keep making the same choices, you keep doing the same things, you keep having the same experiences and reacting to the same conditions with the same emotions. For the most part, your genes and your brain and everything is going to stay the same, and your blood values, because you're the same. So then the process of thinking differently, making different choices, doing different things, creating
You're not supposed to ever be sick.
Still see it on the bottom, the red.
different experiences and feeling different emotions. If you do that for 7 days, you have significant changes that take place on a cellular level, on your brain, in just about every part of your biology, because you're making those changes. Is it possible?
Never. The body is a miraculous machine that has been created to take care of itself and heal itself if we don't. You're not supposed to ever be sick. Never. The body is a miraculous machine that has been created to take care of itself and heal itself if we don't interfere. But you make yourself sick. And if the mind is powerful enough to make yourself sick, it's also powerful enough to heal you. First, we got to find out why. Why did you do this to yourself? What were you trying to tell yourself? Every disease is the body talking to you. You're not supposed to ever be sick.
A bacterium is built with a biological imperative. If you try and kill it, it's not going to go, oh, okay, kill me. The bacterium will do every maneuver possible to stay alive. Well, to be able to survive, you better be careful of things that threaten you. So I look at the scary things. I didn't look at the good things. I'm okay with them. I got no problem with that. Consciousness is creating your reality. If you put a picture of fear into your reality, then your biology behavior will manifest things to be afraid of. The function of the mind is to create coherence between your beliefs and your reality. If I have a negative belief, the function of my mind is to manifest behavior to experience those negative realities. If I have positive beliefs, then the function of my mind is to manifest a positive experience. But we get programmed with so many negative beliefs. And that takes away our power because we're not focusing on the beautiful things, we're focusing on the fear. A bacterium What is the consequence of a negative thought? It's equally powerful in controlling your biology.
Do that. See the chat?
This?
Yeah.
That's the one we just watched.
So that you see.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, that's this one. That is.
Oh,
this
okay.
one. Yeah.
What is the consequence of a negative thought? It's equally powerful in controlling your biology and your genetics as is a positive thought. Good thoughts create good health and good life, and a bad thought, a negative thought, can actually kill you. It can cause a disease. If you believe you're going to get this cancer because everyone says you're going to get this cancer, and then your perception is sending cancer thoughts into your body, the chemistry that comes from the thoughts to the brain to the body is a chemistry that doesn't support health, but it'll actually lead to your own death. It's the power of your perceptions, positive or negative, that override your genetics. What is the consequence of a negative thought? It's We are creators. This is a fact. In fact, quantum physics says that, but now let me add one other fact. Epigenetics says the same thing, because epigenetics says your consciousness is controlling your behavior and your genes. And so it's time to stop for a second and recognize, where is your consciousness? What are you thinking about? And the idea is, start thinking all those very positive thoughts, but don't try and tell the universe how it's going to manifest. You think of the picture, let the universe get you there. And that's the most important lesson I've learned. I'm not telling the universe how I'm going to get there. I'm just saying, universe, this is where I want to go. And then the universe will take care of it. It's so powerful. It's so wonderful. And I never believed in it for the first 40, 50 years of my life, but I can tell you now, the life that I'm manifesting today is a consequence of just what I said. Focus on the end. Don't tell the universe the means to get there. We are creators. This is a
The cells of your body are constantly dying and being renewed, being replaced with new cells. But now these new cells are created out of the nature of your thought. That lets me know I'd better get busy and think right thoughts. I'd better think healthy thoughts, because my word is creative. You see, that's the word being made flesh. Your body of flesh, your body of affairs, and your world of circumstances are all created out of your word. What you think, what you say, and what you feel about yourself. The cells of your body are constantly...
So the cells in our body is like a skin-covered petri dish. It's got 50 trillion cells inside, but it also has the original culture medium, blood. It doesn't make a difference if a cell is in a plastic dish or the skin-covered dish. It's still controlled by the environment culture medium. In the plastic dish, that's the one I put in there. In your skin-covered dish, your blood is your culture medium. It's the chemistry of the blood, the environment, that activates expression of the gene. Well, where's that chemistry come from? I go, the brain is the chemist that puts the chemicals in the blood. So what chemicals should the brain put in the blood? And the answer is, whatever thought you have, the brain will translate that into complementary chemistry. There's a chemistry for love, which is a different chemistry than fear, which is a different chemistry than anger. But to the cells, they respond to the chemistry. Oh, so the cells... If genes control your life, and as far as we know, we didn't pick the genes we came with, and if we don't like the traits we have, you can't change the traits that you have, then you're stuck with your genes, and the genes control your life. Point, you're a victim of your heredity. If there's cancer or Alzheimer's or diabetes running in your family and you get the genes, you will anticipate that you too will have the same outcome. So that makes us victims when we say genes control our lives. What does the new research that I found in the stem cell study show us? The answer is this. By changing the environment, I change the expression of the cells. Well, what's the point? I'm the one that can change the environment. I am the master of my genetics. I am not the victim of my genes. I'm the one that can change the environment, and more importantly, my perception of the environment. And that is what controls the fate of the cells. I put one stem cell in a petri dish by itself, and it divides every 10 or 12 hours. So first there's 1, then there's 2, 4, 8, 16, doubling. 1 week, 30,000 cells in the petri dish, but they're all genetically identical because they came from one parent. So I have 30,000 genetically identical cells. I split the cells into 3 petri dishes, so I have genetically identical cells in 3 dishes, but I changed the composition of the culture medium, a little chemistry change in each of the dishes. So I have genetically identical cells, but slightly different culture medium. And in one set of dishes, the cells form muscle. In a second set, they form bone. In a third set, the cells form fat cells. You say, what controlled the fate? They were all genetically identical. So it wasn't the genes. They all had the exact same genes. The only thing that was different was the environment. I put one stem cell in a petri dish by
I met a man who was 100 years old. He ate everything on the table. He smoked 2 packets of cigarettes a day, drank a pint of whiskey every day, and he loved the women. I asked him the secret of longevity. Well, he said it's very simple. He said, I have no grudges, no peeves, no resentment, no hatred. Every time, he said, when I open my eyes in the morning, I say, this is the day the Lord hath made. Rejoice and be glad in it. Then he said, I say for about 10 or 15 minutes every morning, the rejuvenating, revitalizing power of God Almighty flows through me like a golden river, vitalizing, transforming every atom of my being, so that every atom of my being dances to the rhythm of the eternal God. He found the secret of life. The secret of life is joy, inner peace, the invisible ingredient. I met a man who was 100 years old.
That was it.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Now, thoughts. Thoughts. Who has some thoughts about all the things we just saw? Some thoughts, a thought.
We're more powerful than we think we are. And what we believe is what we end up creating. And sometimes if we just keep our thoughts on what our destination and where we're going, we just have to trust that the universe is going to align it and that we're going to become who it is that we need to become in order to get there. So it's really taking that power of trusting and believing that you can do what you need to do in order to see the things that you want to have. And when it comes to disease, what we believe about ourselves pick up and translate. So we know that we have the power to heal ourselves, and we know what we can do to heal ourselves. If we take upon that power and we believe it and we take that, we have that intention and we give it the attention that's needed and take that action, it's going to align for us.
Couldn't have said it better. Couldn't have said it better. Okay, and who else? Anyone out? Anyone else have any thoughts on what we just watched?
There's some chats, stuff in the chat. Hold on a second. Lunar put, it all begins with your thoughts. Focus on the end, not on the process. Junary said, mind over matter, the power of thoughts. And then Lunar put, the body has what it needs to heal.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Those are awesome.
Awesome. Okay, anything else before? Anything else? Wonderful. So, just like when you said we're driving in the car and just like you said, if we keep our mind on the goal and we just trust that we'll get there, isn't that the same thing we do when we get in the car? When we get in the car in the morning and we're going to work, that's our goal. And we trust that if we get in the car and we drive the way toward our goal, that we're going to get there. We do it daily. We do the same thing. We're already doing it. All these things that that they're talking about, a lot of it we do, we just don't consciously do it. We don't consciously do it. And the whole point of these conversations that we've been having for however long it's been is to become conscious of what we do so that we can do it on purpose, we can replicate it, reproduce it, and do it consistently. Because we realize who we really are, which is the creator of our world. We realize truly who we really are. Is to realize that this is what we're always doing, but most of the time we're doing it unconsciously. See, one of the things that was in the title were levels and locations, right? So just imagine when we were all young and our parents were driving us to school. And so we were sitting in a different part of the car. So we were in a different location. We weren't sitting behind that wheel. But when we got behind the wheel, when it was time for us to drive, how did the location change our level? How did where we sit now, how does that change our experience? I mean, it changes our experience pretty significantly, doesn't it? To go from the passenger to the driver, to go from just getting a ride to actually driving or being the one giving a ride, it's a completely different experience. And it's almost like being a passenger allows you to be more unconscious. You're not aware of everything because you don't have to be. You're not the driver, you're not the leader. But once you get behind that, you are immediately conscious. You're immediately aware of everything. Probably a great large percentage of things that you weren't aware of when you weren't behind the wheel. What we here are talking about is learning that we have been and we will always be the driver. We are behind the wheel. And a lot of times we are living our lives as the passenger. We're living unconsciously. We're living unconsciously. And the goal here is to become conscious, to be aware that we are behind the wheel. That is us, that is actually driving. And that's what everyone in all those videos were saying in their own way. You had pastors on there, you had speakers on there, you had doctors on there, 2 different types of doctors on there. You had all different types of people that were saying the same thing. That once you get to a certain level of understanding, there's no way to not understand that. There's no way not to come to that conclusion. That it is actually you that is governing your life. Now, you may use someone to do it, something to do it, somewhere to do it, as far as to express your governance, but you are the governor. You are El Presidente. You are it. You are the owner of your life. And it is up to you and on you as to how it goes, where it goes, when it goes, how long it lasts. All of that is on you. It's not on anything else outside or anyone else outside. It's not on where you grew up. It's not on how many diseases are out there, how many recessions or depressions. It's not, those are all things that you can participate in if you choose, but they are not the author and finisher of your faith. They're not the Alpha and Omega. They're not the beginning and the end. They're not the first and the last. That's you. That is you. And that's what all of them are telling you in 5 minutes worth of videos. They're all different people, all saying the same thing. That what is happening to us or not happening to us, what we like or what we don't like, is in and under our control. And as we get an understanding of that, it is not to regret, it's not to blame, it's not to feel like we're bad or wrong or what's wrong with us. It's to see not only the opportunity, but also the obligation and the responsibility. It's ours. This is our physical experience individually to govern, to own, to maintain, to sustain, to drive, just like it's our car, just like it's our body, and all those different things. We have to understand consciousness means we're now behind the wheel. We're no longer a passenger in life. We are behind the wheel of our life. We are the driver.
I'm gonna put in the chat, I like what you said last week. Drivers get comfortable after a while. At first they are alert, but then you get the license and the seatbelt off.
It's off. Seatbelt is off. Radio's up. You're talking on the phone, talking to your friends, putting your makeup on. People shaving in the car. Saw a dude the other day, one of them electric shaving. He was shaving the car. We would not have done any of those things the first day we got behind the wheel. As excited as we may have been, as cool as we thought we were, we wasn't doing that because we didn't have that level of consciousness. We hadn't had this experience yet. And so now our life requires that level of consciousness. And at this level of consciousness, you start to realize, wow, okay, that's why we're so much more alert or in tune or sensitive to what's happening to us in life, because we're conscious, right? When you go under the knife for surgery for something minor or major, they're cutting you all to pieces. You don't move, you don't yell, you don't scream because you're unconscious. If they do it right, you're unconscious. But as soon as you wake up, as soon as you come back to consciousness, boy, that pain comes running in like the police with a warrant. Comes in just beating all through your door. Right? But it's always been there. The pain didn't just come then. You just weren't conscious of it. Everything already exists, but we're only experiencing what exists to our level of consciousness. So we don't ever have to create anything. Just like that person going under the knife doesn't have to create pain. Oh, the pain already existed. right? But until you became exposed to it, you were unaware of it. And then when you were unaware of it, you didn't feel it. But once you became aware of it, once your consciousness returned from being put under, you're now immediately aware and you feel pain. Consciousness.
Coach,
So
I got a
the
question.
consciousness that we are becoming aware of and are intentionally mastering so that we can choose what experiences we have in this physical experience can often be uncomfortable. It's like learning how to drive. We're infinitely and immediately aware of things that we weren't when we were unconscious, when we were the passenger in the car, in the front seat, on our phone, or in the back seat, sleep. But the driver always has to stay. Right? So where we are living, where our states of consciousness are, and the levels of our consciousness are not only determining our experiences, but they are determining our level of intensity in which we feel the experiences, what experiences we're having and how we feel them. And when we come together on this call, we are talking about that. We are reminding ourselves every week that we are the creator of our lives, that we are the determining factor of what happens or doesn't happen, how good or bad it is. It doesn't mean other things aren't going on, but that's why it says in the book, no man takes my life from me. I have the power to lay it down and take it up again. That's my power. That's the power my Father has given me. My Father is God. God is consciousness. Consciousness is what gives us the power to either put down or pick up, to lay down or stand up. There's nobody in the grave that has anything to say. There's nobody in the graveyard walking around underneath. Right? The graveyard is quiet unless the living are talking. Consciousness is the only talking. Unconscious people don't talk. If you sleep that hard, or if you're under the knife, or if you're in a coma, or if you're no longer physically present, there's no movement there. There's nothing going on there. There's no interaction there. The only interactors are the living, and living is consciousness. It's alertness and awareness. And the more conscious we are, the more alert and aware we are, the more we raise our level of consciousness, the more powerful we become. The more powerful we become. And that's what this is for. So do me a favor, will you go to the next link now that when I text you, please? So now we're going to
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yes.
So when we're not in the driver's seat, how long or what should our mindset be until we get back in it? So when you hit that, it made me think about last night. I drove to the airport, but then I got on the plane and I was no longer the pilot. And while that time, of course, I was unconscious because I was knocked out. I was asleep until we hit turbulence. And then that's when I wake up, I'm scared and I don't know what's going on. But then we get out of there and then we come back to where we're the driver. When we're not the driver, what is the best state of, I guess, some level of consciousness? Like what should be our thought process until we get back into that control? Like you said, we're in surgery, we're getting chopped up. And then we wake up and we have this new body. Now we have to get ready for healing. We have to get ready to move forward past whatever diagnosis they're not going to tell us once they open us up and see it. And that's a big thing for me. When that comes to that mindset, because we can get depressed and all these other different things that you don't want to have when you wake up and you get this news of what was actually going on inside of your body. What do you do when you're not in that driver's seat? What's the thought process until you're able to gain that control back and get that power back for yourself?
Number one, the key to realize that you always are and you never gave it up. Meaning, just because you gave up something physically, your physical body is only still a reflection of you. And if your consciousness, the real you, is aware of, I'm prosperous and in good health, even as my soul prospers. If it's no weapon formed against me shall prosper, no harm shall come nigh my dwelling. Whatever you are conscious of being, you will always experience. You don't have to be the driver, or you can be the driver or the passenger. It doesn't matter. You can get in a car accident as the driver or the passenger. You're still going to feel a lot of the same effects. You're still in the same place. So if something can happen to you, it can happen. If it can't, it can't. So the key then is to realize that you are always in control of your life. Your life goes through a myriad of things. You're the passenger, you're the driver, you're the pilot, you're the passenger on the plane, you are the passenger on the train. You're going through a lot of those are just experiences. Those don't take away your control or authority of your life. That's why your name doesn't change from something else to something else, whether you're behind the wheel or not. The identity doesn't change. Who you believe yourself to be doesn't change. And who you believe yourself to be is what your outcome is based on, not whether you are physically driving a car or not. Your experience is not the same thing as your identity, but your identity controls your experience. So when you identify yourself as always being something that is valuable to you, like they talked about, your mind is controlling your genes, right? Your mind is controlling your health. So as long as your mind stays the way you want it to be, it doesn't matter what environment you're in, you're going to get the same outcome because that's the controller of your experience. So what happens is a lot of times we don't consciously choose to make up our mind until we're in peril or in pain. Then it becomes hard to do, right? So it's almost like throwing somebody in the water and say, okay, I'm gonna teach you how to swim now. It's like, well, couldn't we start in the shallow end first? Can we at least put my toe in first? I mean, can I put some kind of raft on or something, right? That is why, yeah, we can still learn to swim that way, but it's a lot harder. Because when we wait to get into something and then we start trying to figure this out, then it becomes all reactive. It becomes, we say, well, I shouldn't be afraid, and God is good and all the other stuff. But we're in the deep end now. We're in a serious situation now. And a lot of times we just haven't built up the awareness to be able to deal with the level of situation we're in. So the reason we come on these calls and the reason we take these calls with us throughout the week and practice and apply them is to create an identity. When you say your name, what does that mean to you? What is the level of safety attached to that, security attached to that? What does that mean when we say, like I said before, when we say Nike, or when we say a Democrat, when we say a hospital, when we say names, we have images and we have thoughts and feelings and emotions about this thing that we identify. And the same thing is with ourselves. So when I say my name, I have thoughts about myself. What should or shouldn't happen, can or can't happen, will or won't happen, what I believe or don't believe, what I accept or don't accept. And a lot of times all of those beliefs or all those different things, most of us are unconsciously believing. We unconsciously think and feel. So we're just not aware of them. So our mind is almost like a big closet, and it's like a hoarder. And so we have a whole bunch of stuff that's piled on top of each other, and we can't see one garment from another. So the key, to answer your question, the key to it is to establish in your mind consciously and purposely, what is your experience going to be? You as a driver, I'm in this place or this place, but no matter the place I'm in, I still want the same outcome: safety, healthy, peace, security, prosperity, and success, whatever it may be. That doesn't change for you. So the key is to establish what outcome you want. What do you want to be no matter where you are, who you're with, what time it is, what day it is? You want to establish a standard for yourself, right? When you have a product, you want to see a standard of quality. You don't want to buy some shoes one day and they're good, and the next time you buy the same ones, they're no good. Then you're guessing. You don't want to be bothered with that. So you want to establish a state identity for yourself that says, this is who I am. And this is who I am no matter where I go, what day it is, what time it is, what month it is. This is how my money is, my health is, my relationships are, my body is, whatever. This is what it is, because you are the governor. You are the owner. It's not for others to tell you what it is for you, what it can be for you, what it should be for you. I was just talking to my brother earlier this morning, and my niece had some knee surgery that she's recovering from, and we were talking about that. And one of the things that we kind of talked about briefly was, when you go into the doctor's office and they work on you and she had surgery and you come out, who's the first person to tell you how long it takes to heal? Right? It's usually the doctor. So then what do you then set your expectation on? What they say. But it's not their need. So if they tell you 6 months, you're like, damn, oh, well, is that what you want? But you can talk, it's your body. You can talk to it and say, man, hey, you know what? We're going to heal up fast. We're going to heal up faster than ever. We're going to be bigger and better than ever. Your cells are always listening to you. That's what those 5 minutes of videos are. Those cells are always listening. Your body's always listening to you because it's listening to someone. And the fact of the matter is, we don't talk to it. We let everyone else talk to it. We let the news talk to it and say, COVID's coming. Everybody get ready to be sick, nauseous, on the brink of death, or whatever else it is. We let the COVID, the swine flu, the bird flu, the regular flu, we let them tell us the depression's coming or a recession's coming. So now our health is bad. Then our money's going to be bad. Then we let them tell us whatever else it is. Or then the weather's going to be bad. It's going to be hot. and you're gonna faint instead. Like the whole point is that we let everyone else talk to us and we don't talk to ourselves. And the point of these calls is to realize that we need to start talking to ourselves. We need to start realizing that we declare and decree, and it comes to pass. That death and life and the power of the tongue, and it better be our tongue, so we can make sure we're speaking life into our life and not death. That we can, instead of 6 months, we can say 3 months. It's our body. Why should someone else tell us how long it should take? It doesn't mean we're discounting doctors, otherwise we wouldn't be there. But my point is that, what does it say? According to your faith, be it unto you. Right? That all things are possible. So, and you are the possibility. You are the power. So the point is to establish in your mind, who are you? Who are you should be governed and dictated and determined by you. You are the owner of your business. You are the owner of your business, the name of your business, the hours, all those things are dictated by the owner. And you are the owner of your body, you're the owner of your life. So you dictate the terms. You decide how it's going to be for you. And there are no qualifications on that. There are no blackout dates on that. If you are healthy, you're healthy all the time. If you're wealthy all the time. What does it say? Blessed is the man whose trust is in God, whose hope is in the Lord. For he should be like a tree planted by the river, whose roots spread out by the water. And he will have no fear when heat comes, for his leaf is always green. And he will have no worry in a year of drought, for his tree never ceases to bear fruit. I know I went through that quickly, but the point of that passage is saying that your outcomes, your leaf always being green and your tree never ceasing to bear fruit, is because of what you have put your trust in. Your trust is in your consciousness of being. So when heat comes, or when drought comes, when external things come, it doesn't affect your leaf being green or your tree always producing, because your faith is not, or your confidence or your trust is not placed in anything external. That varies. It's placed internally. I am this. I am this. Nobody else gets to tell me what I am or am not, can be or cannot. I am. How long it takes to heal, or if I can heal, I decide that. That is the authority that you have. Whether we use it or not, that's what we have. And that's what we talk about on Saturday. It's not to place blame on ourselves. It's not to feel guilty. It's not to feel like we have to be perfect. It's to become aware and realize this is who we are. This is how it should work. It's always working based on us. So when we woke up and felt fear in that example, it's because fear was already there. But it's only because either we didn't know it or we didn't deal with it. Right? But fear is only there when we don't know better. Right? And we believe that something can happen to us against our will. But what can happen to God against its will? Then why would we pray to a God if we felt like, hey man, I need something? Well, that COVID's out, I ain't really got my mask on. I can't really, what's the point of that? Oh, well, my car's in the shop. What's the point of that? Right? We are the power inside of us. The kingdom of heaven is within, right? I never leave you nor forsake you. Greater is it that is in you than anything outside of you. So when we know who we are, when we become conscious and aware, then we start to act like it. We can get on the plane and go to sleep, stay up, play cards, talk to people. We can do whatever, because we know that nothing happens against our consciousness. That's why I said, no man takes my life from me. I have the power to lay it down and take it up again. That's the power my Father has given me. That's the power your consciousness gives your physical experience. It's what it believes itself to be. Nothing can be taken from you. Whether that is money, your wealth, your anything, nothing can be taken from you. It's not that it's possible, it's the belief in its possibility. Belief is like a battery.
That was dope.
Everything, most of the things we have require some form of battery. That's why we always have to plug it in, right? But without that battery, this thing can't come on. So just think of all the different things we have. All those different things are just possibilities, but they're nothing until we put the battery in. The battery is what makes this thing come alive. All these different beliefs, all these different thoughts in our mind don't matter until we place our belief in it. Our belief is the battery. It's what makes this thing come alive. It's what makes fear come alive. That's why dead people aren't afraid of anything. They don't have any conscience. They don't have any belief to put into it. That's why they can't have sickness or disease anymore. There's no belief to believe in, to pump that into their body, that fear or that sickness. It takes your belief. It takes the battery of your mind to say, yes, I agree with that. And a lot of things, unfortunately, we agree with in ignorance. And most of those things that we agree with in ignorance are because of when we were told them, primarily when we were younger, or by whom we were told. Someone we respected, our parents, teachers, scientists, doctors, or whatever else it may be. Right? So to answer your question again, right? Establish a consciousness that you want the outcome of. I was working with a kid yesterday, and when we were talking about his summer, and he said, yeah, I don't really like to go hiking with my parents because I'm afraid of heights. And I said, you're afraid of heights? And I understood what he was saying. I'm not saying another half fear or I've ever had it. I'm saying once we know better, we know how to get rid of it because we understand why we have it. So I said, you're afraid of heights? I said, well, how can you be? I said, are heights a living thing? Are they like something that can push you off a cliff? Does it move? Is it something that can fight you? He started laughing. He's like, no. I said, well, then how can you be afraid of something that's not living? If you went up on a cliff and you stood there, the only way you could fall is if you fell, right? Did height push you off or kick you off, right? And it's okay, but it seems silly when you start talking about it differently. But we believe things and we don't even know why we believe them. When we start actually talking about them, they don't even make sense the way it did to us before we started talking about it, right? So he said, well, no. I said, so then when you're afraid of heights, but heights can't move or kick you off or push you down, then how can you be afraid of something that's not against you, that can't move you, can't do anything to you? What are you actually afraid of? What do you actually? And so he sat there and thought about it. And that was point number one. We have so many beliefs we don't actually even think about. We don't actually even vet. We have fears. Now we're going to date with somebody. We want to know where they live. What's your name? Let me talk to you a couple times first, right? Because we want to make sure we're going out with somebody who's sane, who's not going to do something crazy or whatever else it is, right? But think about how many thoughts we don't vet the same way. We just let into our house. So now he's afraid of something that you can't even see. You can't even call. You can't push you. It's not physical, won't do anything to you. And I'm like, then if we're afraid of heights, then how do you go up on a plane? And Height just said, you know what, I don't really like him. I don't want any company right now. And just plane out of the air. That'd be silly, right? We'd never fly anywhere. So the point is that a lot of the beliefs we have, we don't vet enough to even challenge. We don't even realize like why this doesn't even make sense because we never stop to actually take a look at it and say, what am I actually thinking here? What am I actually believing here? Right. And so once he kind of thought about it, he was like, oh, so obviously you start thinking about it, it gives you an opportunity to think differently. And once you can take that step back and start thinking differently, you give yourself an opportunity to think different now, to make a different choice. A lot of times we're afraid of things that can't even move. We're afraid of things that can't talk, can't speak, can't do anything to us, but it's our belief in it. So essentially what we boil it down to is you are lacking confidence in yourself in this area. You don't believe you can still be safe if you go a little higher. You believe your safety is predicated on your altitude. So then how do you ever get on a plane? What if your job is on the 8th floor and your safety stops at the 7th? Then how are there other people up there on the 8th? Right? So a lot of our fears are based on our own personal beliefs. They're not actually based on the truth. They're not based on the thing that everyone has to succumb to and abide by. So that's when people say my truth, right? But it's not the truth. And so we have to start dropping start dropping our truths and look for the truth, because our truths most often are enslaving us. They are keeping us bound and held. The reason why I like a lot of these wisdom books is because really what they're designed to do, if you know how to read them properly and you know how to think, is they're designed to keep you safe and secure. But most people misread them. So all they do is keep you strapped in and confined. Instead of it being strapped in like a car seat or a seatbelt, you're restrained like a straitjacket. All it does is make you feel fear. All it does is make you feel crazy, incapable, incompetent. You feel afraid of everything. You feel like you're the worst person ever, and you miss the whole point. The whole point is to keep you safe and secure, to keep you in your right mind, to keep thinking properly so that you realize who you are and how to function.
I appreciate that, Coach.
Does
That
that make sense?
was good. It makes a lot
Okay.
of sense, and I took a lot of notes. I think the biggest thing that really stood out to me is that people always talk about being an authority in your market, just kind of taking it back to business, being an authority in your market, being an authority in your market. This is how you become an authority in your market. And they don't necessarily emphasize being authority over your life.
Mhm.
And I think to me, that's what stood out most in what you were saying. But of course, everything else was really good too. And I jotted down. But another thing about fear is taught.
Mhm.
So you're taught to be fearful because a lot of the
Mhm.
things that you're fearing, it's never happened to you.
Mhm.
And I think that was another thing that kind of came to mind when you were going in on that. But I appreciate you, Coach. Thank
Yeah,
you.
appreciate you all. Yes. And I'm glad we asked questions because all of us, that's what this conversation is about in a lot of ways, is when we were taught things when we were younger. We believe a lot of things we haven't even considered whether they're even valid or not. We just believe them because when we were told and who we were told by a lot of times, right? And if we actually can step back and realize who we are, we realize we don't have to be afraid of anything because we're the creator of all things. We created altitude too. We created oxygen. We created everything that we're experiencing. We are the creators of all of it. And so now we just use things to experience what we desire. We created the whole kitchen. So you use the stove, you use the refrigerator, you use the counter, you just use different parts of that kitchen that you created to have different experiences. You don't want to eat over the stove, so you made a table. You don't want your food to stay cold, so you made the stove, right? We all are we're creating things that have different experiences, right? In order to have a fullness of life. So absolutely, we are the creator of our life. Once we understand that, the business of being you, then it makes everything else relative, right? So does anybody else have anything they want to say before because we're going to kind of elaborate a little further. But anything else? No? Okay, will you go to that thing for me? All right, so take a look at this. All right, so, all right, so let's see. Need a volunteer.
You got me, Coach.
Okay, somebody? I heard somebody say that. Oh, okay, all right. So, let's see. So we're gonna do right there. That's good. That's perfect. Okay. How do I want to do this first? Okay. All right. Giovanni, I want you to read verse, if you can see it, I want you to read verse 2, right where it says now. And I want you to read from now into the rest of the sentence. From verse 2, just for the rest of that sentence. Verse 2.
Okay. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters.
All right. So we're going to stop there for a second. So now, oh, no, I just wrote it. I just wrote down now. And so I'm just writing down this, like, what state are we in right now? So now, right now, there's darkness and there's emptiness. There's emptiness and darkness, right? Everywhere. So right now is a state. It's a state. It's what's currently happening. It's where you are. It's what's happening right now in our lives. What's happening, where it's happening, it's a state. The state right now is emptiness and darkness. So guess what? The person that we praise in this book had nothing around it and in the dark. It's empty and it's dark. It's a state. It's just empty and dark. Okay. So when you're in a state of something, right? Doesn't matter what state it's in, emptiness and dark just means, right? There's nothing around and there's nothing to see, or there's no light to see it with. It's just a state, right? We're all right now in states. Individually, we're all in our own states. Whatever state that's in, we're in a state. Now, how do you get out of a state? Maybe you want to get out of a state because you want it to be better. Maybe you want to go from good to great. Maybe you want to go from flashy to classy. Maybe you want to go from 0 to 100. Maybe you want better health. Maybe you want to get your bills paid. Maybe you want to increase your business. Maybe you want to retire from your business. It doesn't matter. You're in a state right now that you want to change. For whatever reason you want to change it, doesn't matter. You're just in a state that you want to change. Okay. How do you do that? If you're in a state of fear, how do you change it? If you're in a state of poverty, how do you want to change it? If you're in a state of rich and you want to be wealthy, you want to take it up a notch. How do you do that? Okay, we're going to go back to it. No. Oh, as a question? Yes. Oh, no, she didn't.
No?
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Let me go back. Okay. So now we are going to go. All right. I need another volunteer. Yep. You guys know I'm going to make you volunteer because we got to participate to learn. So I need a couple volunteers.
I got you. What's your name?
All right, Natasha. All right. I want you to read verse 3.
All right. And God said, let there be light, and there was light.
Okay. Who wants to read verse 4? Yeah, who wants to read? Okay, who wants to read verse 4?
I got luck.
All right.
God saw the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness.
Okay. Now, who wants to read? Let's see. Okay. Okay. Who wants to read verse 6?
I'll do it.
Okay.
And God said, let there be a vault between the waters to separate water from water.
Perfect. Okay. Who wants to read verse 10?
God called the dry ground land, and gathered waters he called sea. And God saw that it was good.
Okay. Now, thank you all. Perfect. So, how do we go from the state we're in to the state we want to be? What did this being that people pray to, no matter what you call it, it's just doesn't matter what you call it. How did this being change the state that they were in? This almighty being that everyone prays to in their own way, no matter what you call it, God, Allah, Buddha, creator, consciousness, universe, whatever you want to call it. How does it change its circumstance? Circumstance doesn't have to be bad, no matter whether it's good to bad. How does it do it?
He said it first. Everything he said. Everything he said, then he started seeing it. And then he said it again.
So then what's the order?
He said it and he saw it was good. He said it again.
So perfect. So when people say, I'll believe it when I see it, is that correct?
No.
I mean, are you the only one on the call? Is that correct?
No.
No. Humanity in all of its ridiculousness, racism, sexism, wars, poverty, crime and thievery and all its ridiculousness will tell you, I'll believe it when I see it. But the entity, no matter what we call it, that we pray to help us get out of things or into things or better or whatever, or for protection, does the exact opposite. Says, I'll say it to see it. Which one of those do we think we should follow?
Say it.
Say it. But now, key word, good. Why did it say good in there? What was good?
The ending of what he asked for, it came out good.
Came out
At
good.
least according to his liking.
Right? So that means if something came out good, like you said, it came out the way you wanted it to be. Well, if you wanted it to be something and you said, you had to already have a thought in your mind before you said it. You had a thought, then you said it, then it came out. And you're like, oh, this worked, like a recipe. Oh, this worked. So then what is the recipe? How do you go from empty and darkness to light, or to the water being separated? How did this character, let's just say, create the world? How did it do it?
He thought it and spoke it into life.
Okay.
Thought it,
So it spoke.
said it, and spoke it. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So before it spoke it, what did it do?
It thought it.
It thought it. So then what is the theorem? What is the equation?
Think, say, do.
Essentially, right?
Think, say.
You think it, you have an idea in your mind. This is my destination. Just like we were talking about earlier. I have a destination. I'm trusting to get there. We get in the car. We have a destination in mind. That's why we get in the car. Right? So we think something, we say it, and then we see it. We don't see it and then say it. If this character waited to see it before it said it, it would still be what? What would it still be? Huh?
Repeat it.
If this character decided that it was going to wait to see it before it said it, what would be happening?
Nothing.
Nothing. Guess what's going on in your life that if you don't go this and this according to this theorem, what do you think is happening?
Nothing.
Nothing.
See that? Now you guys are smart. You didn't even complicate it. See that? Now we working. Nothing. Nothing. But you know why you think something should be happening? Because you're working. Because every day you're getting up and going to work. You're working early, grinding. You doing all your things, working on weekends, working at night, got 3 jobs. You're out here sweating. You logged all your hours. You got a paycheck. So because you think you're doing something, you think you're actually working a theorem. But we have some teachers on here. You pass a test out, you can see somebody taking a test. Does that mean they're going to pass it?
Nope.
Right?
Nope.
No. So what if they came to you and said, well, how come I didn't pass? What would you say? I took the test. You didn't study, or your answers were what?
Wrong.
Wrong. But if they came to you and said, but look what I was doing, I took the test, what would you say?
That's great, but your answer's still wrong.
Right. So then why do we think we can believe it? We'll believe it when we see it. Why do we think we can justify with this same law of mind, the same way they couldn't even justify it to you, human to human? We think we're going to justify this incorrect sequence of events. We think we're going to be able to say to the law of mind, hey, well, I was working 3 jobs. How come I'm not rich? Because you think poor.
June Marie put in the chat, you must have a vision, speak, seek.
Yeah, right. So in the sense of if you think and you speak, you will see. Whatever you think and speak, you will see. It may take a minute, it may take an hour, it may take a year, just depending on your level of intensity, how much you actually believe what you're saying. So just because you're working, just because that student sat down and took their test, they may have been biting on the pencil, chewing on the eraser, sweating. They may be looking all up in the sky. They could have given their best physical effort. But effort doesn't justify or does not substitute for truth, for the answer, for it being correct. And most of us are trying to justify our poor thinking, lack of thinking, incorrect thinking with how much labor we're doing. And we think we're going to override that. We think we can think any way we like, but we're just going to out hustle it. We're going to outwork the work. But we got t-shirts with it. We got all kind of swaggy sayings with it. But it's not going to work. It doesn't work like that. This is showing you how to go from one state of something to another. And it's good and very good. How do you know? Because I got what I wanted. I knew what I wanted before I said it. What I wanted was my thought. Then I said what I wanted. And then I got what I said. I got what I thought. So everything you have, everything that you got right now, take a look around from your body, look at your hands, look at your arms, and then look around your room. That's everything in my best English that you got, that you have. Where do you think you got it from?
How we thought.
Huh?
How we thought. It started with how we started thinking.
What you started thinking. Thinking enough to say. Saying isn't always verbal. Saying is what you know or believe to be. Does anybody walk around all day saying their name? No, it would just be insane. People be looking at you like, are you insane? Right? But you know yourself to be. It's a state of knowing. That is your saying. It's a state of knowing. You know your name. How do you know your name? Because if I looked at Justin and I said, hey, what's up, Justin? And then I said, no. Hey, what's up, Henry? He'd be like, wait, what? No, he's not thinking his name is Justin every second. But if I say, what's up, Henry? He'd be like, nah, bro, that's not it. Because we know ourselves to be, no matter what we don't have to verbally say it. It doesn't have to be verbalized all the time. We have a knowing of who we are, right? We've heard our name enough to know. When we think it enough to know, that's the same thing as saying. I mean, somebody doesn't have to hear it. There was when this character said, "Let there be light," was it talking to someone else? Was it somebody on the other end of the line? Was it a chat? Was it a text? Was it on Zoom? Was it talking? Who was it talking to then? Who was this character talking to? That is a question. Available for answer.
Talking to himself.
Correct. So then when you are thinking something that you want and saying it, meaning I am now assuming myself to be this thing, who do you have to talk to?
Yourself. Who
do you have to convince?
Yourself.
Oh boy, and that's the hardest person to convince. Boy, that's the hardest person. That's why in churches the prayer lines are so long. Like it's Black Friday. Go up in there, boy, the line from the altar goes all the way out to the parking lot every week. Because most people have a hard time being self-convinced that I am healthy. They think somebody else has to tell them they are, or that they can be, or that they should. So you go through pain, discomfort, discouragement, disgust, defeat, despair, all the D's and all kind of other ones, all week until you can get to somebody who gives you permission or tells you it's okay to be something else. And what if they don't show up that week? Now you're on a 2-week bid with your leg not working, with your eye not working, with your blood pressure higher than a satellite, right? Because we have a hard time being self-convinced because we don't know who we really are. We don't know who we truly are. We think we're the body that we're in. We think we're the hands. We think we're the eyes. We think we are this persona, the name we have given ourselves. We think we are this character in this mask, and we're not. We are the being that makes this character alive. We are the greatest actors and actresses in the world because we really believe ourselves to be these names we've given ourselves. We are really fully committed to the role. Like fully committed. for life. We're fully committed. But this character, this power, says, just because something's happening right now, I can just change it. When it said, let there be, when there said, it's empty and it was dark, did this character say, God,
accidentally cut this off.
right? Did it go through all these theatrics? Did it lose his wig over it? Did his teeth fall out? Did it go through all these? Did it get the candles out? Like, okay, I got to make sure that did it turn a certain way? Did it go through all this stuff to change itself? That's it. I'm telling you, I've been practicing. I'm getting good because now I'm working on like a no look. I'm working on like a behind the back no look, but I need a couple more weeks to really, make sure it's, because I don't want the thing to hit the wall and hit me in the head, because then you guys are gonna see me come out of myself then. Then you'll see me not be able to think, and I'll be on here like, somebody else. But right. So when it was dark and it was empty, what did it do? When it was dark and empty, when it was in a state that it wanted to change, what did it do?
Declared a new state.
Say it again.
I said declared a new state.
Okay. What did it not do?
Stay stagnant.
All of that. Stay stagnant, complain, whine, cry. Oh, Fred Sanford, I think this is the big one. Go through a whole, it didn't do any of that. It's not necessary to change what you don't want to what you do want. You don't have to do any of that. But we get ourselves all riled up. We think we have to go through all these things instead of literally sitting down and saying, okay, this is where I am. Okay, let's just say I don't like it. Let's say I hate it. Let's just go all the way in with it. Cool. How do you change it? Come on, faith comes by hearing, practice. How do we change it?
By changing our thoughts.
And then do what?
Change what we say, so
Correct.
it can impact what we do.
Change what you say, not what someone else says. Don't worry about what someone else says. And most of the time, you don't need to tell them anyway, because most of the time, they're not going to help you. They can't help you. And it's not necessary for them to help you. When you say something, you know how to get it done. Your higher self within you knows how to get it done. You didn't see when it came out here and created the light. Did anybody see anybody coming out of Home Depot with some big lights? They can string it up like it's Christmas. Did anybody see any construction workers come on site for the water to be here and the land to be here and the clouds? Did anybody see anything coming from somewhere else?
No, but I imagined it like it.
Right? Which is cool in the sense of everybody has their own way of expression, as far as, because everyone has their own personality. Right? Everyone does the same thing differently. We brush our teeth differently. We walk differently. We talk differently. We eat the different food. We're all doing very similar things. We just do it differently. That's what makes us different, because that's a reflection of our difference, of our individuality, of our personality. The difference in character, one from another. We're wearing different masks. Some call gender, some call color, some call age, but they're all part of a role we're playing. So we're all playing different roles. So even though we're all in the same play or production, we're all playing different roles. We're in different scenes. We're doing different things. But the point is, was it that hard to go from empty and darkness to light? Was it that hard? Did it seem that hard in the story?
No.
To anyone?
Nope.
No. So then why do we make it that hard? And it's a rhetorical question. It's understandable.
Divaness?
Hmm?
Divaness?
No, I mean, really, like, I think it was Giovanni who said it, I think. But because we've been trained to. We've been trained to think we got to get on our knees, or we've been trained to think we got to face a certain way. We've been trained to think we got to repeat it 900 times. We've been trained to think we have to have some candles. We've been trained to think we have to have an outfit. We've been trained to think somebody else has to do it for us. We've been trained to think we have to wait till Sunday. We've been trained to think that we've been trained to think a lot of things. A lot of things. And that's why it also says in the book, there is no condemnation. There is no guilt or condemnation to those that are in Christ Jesus. It's not a religious statement. It's talking about that are in that state of mind. You realize it's not about guilt. It's not about being, oh my God, what happened? What took so long? Why didn't I make it? What is going on here? This character didn't say that when it was empty and dark. It just said, oh, okay, let me put a little light around here, because it knew who it was. And because of knowing who it was, it knew it could. When you know who you are, you know you can. And when you know you can, you don't have to panic. You don't have to get all up outside of yourself. You don't have to go on and go on all these theatrics and all this emotion, ridiculousness. You don't have to get in all of that. But we do, because we don't know who we are. Because we think we have to beg and plead and whine and cry like we're talking to somebody that's not us. The hardest person to convince is ourselves. If we can just get over that, we can win the battle. But we have such low concepts of ourselves, such a low idea, such a low esteem of ourselves a lot of times. We don't even believe we're capable or that we're worthy of the things that we think. So then how can we possibly get it when we're fighting ourselves? How can we possibly get paid if we're too sick to go to work? How can we possibly get the outcome of something we can't participate in? We're fighting ourselves. That's the biggest fight of all, is ourselves. If we can get out of our own way, the ego part of our mind that says, you can't do that. You haven't been doing that. You know how long you've been doing that. You know you can't stop now. Why are you sitting there trying to do that? Now, you know it takes, you know you didn't go to school long enough for that. You know you can't have it. You know you're a woman. You know you're a man. You know you're too old. You know you're too young. You know you don't live in that part of the country. You know you can't move. You know you don't have any money. That's the biggest war. That is the devil. It's the Satan. It's the doubter. It's the part of you that doubts, that can come in doubt. It's not a part of you actually, but it's the part that comes to you in doubt. It's that ego part of your mind that says, but, well, you know, well, you're old, well, you're this. If you have a thought in your mind that you can process clearly, as clear as you can process it, it's as clearly as you can have.
That's where I said, yes, amen to that, brother.
It's it. That's why we have desires. Because they're the things that we are giving to ourselves. It's like our own self-present. Like a present to ourselves. Any thought that you can think, you can have it. Otherwise, you couldn't think it. People thought it was impossible to get to the moon. People thought it was impossible to live under the water. Now we have submarines. Ben had them, but we have submarines. Do you know how many things we could do? The Wright brothers' father was a pastor. The people who are credited for the airplane, their father was a pastor, and told them they were going to go to hell if they created the airplane. That was what their own dad told them. There are things that we thought were impossible that are now, we just take for granted, like, oh yeah, but can you imagine the first people who saw an airplane that actually worked? Now we take something that was impossible, and just like Tuesday, just like a bowl of oatmeal, right? We have to be able to realize who we are. And just like I said in one of those videos, as we're coming into that consciousness and awareness, it can feel uncomfortable. I can't do that. They said I can't do. They said I have to be this, or I have to be that, or I can't be this, or I can't be that. And so at first it feels unnatural. It feels abnormal. Right? But just like Dr. Joseph Spencer said in another video, when you start practicing the unnatural, when you start making the things that you feel are unnatural, being able to sit your body down and calm it down, being able to calm your mind down, being able to start talking to your arm or your leg when you're in some discomfort. When you start practicing your real identity, when you start really practicing who you are, you'll start to see the power come out. When you start practicing the unnatural, no, man, I don't need to just fall out. I can just say, let there be. When you start practicing the unnatural, like Joe Dispenza said, you start to become supernatural. You start to actually be able to walk on the water. You start to be able to turn water into wine, truth and experience. If that experience wasn't truthful, it couldn't have been done. But most people at that wedding, when the wine ran out and Jesus came in and turned the water into wine, everybody could have done that. But he was operating at a different level of mind. Had the same hands, had the same body, but he was operating on a different level of mind. So it wasn't impossible, it was impossible for them. So when something's impossible for you, don't say it's impossible, just say it's impossible for you. But then you got to wait for Jesus. You got to wait for the higher thinker to come by and like AAA and come help you out. With your leg, with your body, with your mind, with your money, with your health, with your relationships, you have to wait for a better thinker to come by and help you. But who knows when that'll be? How long is that going to take? How much time have you lost in the interim? When you start to raise your level of consciousness by just sitting down and spending some time with yourself, keeping your mind cleaner, like your closet, not letting it get in so much disarray, not letting things be thrown in it without saying, whoa, 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 what is that? What you putting in there? Right? Being mindful of what you allow in and accept as true, because you're going to wear it. You're going to wear that thought. You're going to wear that emotion, the emotion from that thought, the outcome. You're going to wear that. Do you want that? Does that fit? Is that your style? Do you want to wear that thing? That is why meditation is a good thing. It's not, you don't have to do it to get something. A lot of times it's just to help you slow down and calm down and regain control of something. Think of your car when you cut it off overnight. Let's just think about it like that, meditating, just resting. It's not being drug all around the road, honking and windows rolling up and rolling down, radio on. You wearing all the functions out of it out. You wearing it out. And when you come back the next morning, you're fresh, it's fresh. Same thing. If you just took a couple minutes a day, not because meditating is it's not some kind of crazy thing. It's just we can call it whatever you want. Just slow down and be quiet for a minute. So you can actually hear yourself. So you can give your mind a break and take it out of the rat race of all the thoughts and feelings and things you've been going on 100 years straight for. Since we've been born, we've been thinking. That's literally like waking up and running the marathon and still running. So you're still running. Everything we're doing, everything a marathon runner, until they're finished, they're eating on the run, drinking on the run, and running. Suffering, sweating, laughing, crying, but they're doing everything. You better keep running. Well, that's essentially what we're doing when we've been living. We have been born and we've just taken off and never stopped. And we've never stopped to think about what we think, about what we believe, about how we feel, if these are good things or not, these are true things or not. We just keep on going. We just keep on going. And we have to take some time to say, wait a minute. Is this race I'm running still necessary? Am I running at the right pace? Should I stop? Should I speed up, slow down? Is this still even something I should be doing? And a lot of times we don't take the time to just stop and think about those things. Right? We're just running this race with an identity we're not even all that familiar with. Hoping we can win with something we don't even really know. Right? So this is what we're talking about when we're talking about consciousness. You can be in whatever state you're in. Doesn't matter what it is. That character started from where they were. They didn't go back into childhood. They didn't go back and figure out all their problems. They didn't go out and do all kind of other old crazy stuff. They didn't have to go through all that. They were where they were. They said, it's dark around here. There's nothing around. Let me get the part one. And thought and said, and it was good. It was good because it worked. It was good because I got exactly what I wanted. Not what someone else wanted me to have. Not what someone else thought. Well, I got what I wanted. And the same goes for you. You're made in the image and likeness, it says. Same goes for you. That's the way you create your world. That's the image and likeness you're made of. Not a he, not a she, right? As a conscious spirit, as a conscious thinking being. That is how you create your world, by your thoughts and what you're saying, literally and figuratively. By what your thoughts, what you know yourself to be, what you believe yourself to be. That's the world you're creating. The health you're creating, the money you're creating, the relationships you're creating, all those different things. And a lot of us are just sitting there in the dark, crying, whining, scared, afraid. But that's not who you really are. It's not who you really are. That's why it doesn't even feel good. Sickness is not true. That's why it doesn't feel good. Now, you can truly have it because God can have anything. God just chooses better. Okay, I'm gonna wake everybody up. Can God lie? Listen to the question. Can God lie? I didn't say God, does God lie? I said, can God lie?
If it wants to, but then at the end of the day, it would still be true.
Say it. I didn't hear the first part. Say it again.
I said, if it wants to, but at the end of the day, if God is absolute, then even its lies are true.
Yeah. The point is, the answer is yes. Yes. Yes, it can. Yes, it can. But what? But what?
It doesn't.
It doesn't. It chooses not to. Think about it this way. When you know how you go get your car washed, and then somebody gets in, right? And they don't know, and they roll down the window. And see, all of us got mad. See, all of us got mad. Everybody's at the house right now and still mad. Just the thought of it make you mad, right? But they don't know, right? If when you're in your car, and you know how sometimes you'll let your little niece or your little nephew, you'll sit them on the seat and the car's off, and you're just sitting there, and they're going like this on the wheel, and they're touching everything. We could too. But you know, sometimes they hit the little knob and your car's washed and hit the knob, and then the windshield wiper goes on, and you're like, right? And you're mad because you can't even be mad at them. Because one, you put them there, and two, they're a kid, you can't be mad at them. But you could have did the same thing, but you chose not to. You chose not to hit the windshield wiper because you knew better. It wasn't that you couldn't, it was that you knew better. You chose not to. The immature mind, or the mind who's unaware, the person who got in your car, could be a very smart person. They didn't know you went to their car wash. They're unaware. They rolled the window down. An immature mind, a mind that doesn't know better, hits the knob, playing with everything because it's trying to figure it out. It's just excited. And then the windshield wiper goes on. So the unaware mind, the immature mind, the outcomes are the same. When you are unaware or immature in your mind, when you are lacking proper knowledge and information, the outcome is going to be the same. Because both of them are as a result of you not knowing. The unaware mind and the immature mind lead to the same end. The mature knowing mind, the God mind, could lie, but it chooses not to because it's aware of, if I roll this window down after the car wash, if I hit the windshield wipers after the car wash. So it's not that it can't, it's that it doesn't, because it knows better. So we don't have to even judge good or bad. We make good choices in the sense of we make choices that align with our desired outcome. All choices are just parking spaces like we talk about. They're just opportunities. They're just options. But according to the one you pull into, according to the one you place your belief in, according to the one you put your battery in, that is what you're going to make alive in your world. And the mature mind knows probably not a good idea to lie. It's not that it's impossible or that it's incapable, because if God couldn't, God wouldn't be God. God wouldn't be able to do everything. Then you're not God. You're just like me. Just like you, so to speak, in human terms, right? That's why we pray to the God in us for things that we in our humanity don't know how to do or be or have. So that power, that being could do the same thing we're doing, but it knows better, so it doesn't. That's the only difference, right? So yes, it can, but it chooses better. We can do a lot of things, but as we mature in our mind and as we go up the mind, up the scale, right, we actually choose better. We don't touch all the buttons and accidentally hit the thing. We tell somebody before they get in the car, girl, don't roll that window down. Do not touch that door. When you even get smarter, you put the window locks on. Can't possibly happen now. Yeah, you're right. You start thinking even higher. I'm not even going to put me or them in this position. I'm going to think higher and ahead. Right? When you start thinking higher and ahead, guess what? You don't have to be worried about you messing up or them, because you have now used your mind to take away the physical ability to mess it up. You don't have to outwork yourself. You don't have to sit there using your body, using your brain to hope that you remember to tell them, or hoping they remember that you told them. You don't have to use your body, you use your mind in the sense of you say, okay, I'm going to put a higher level of thought. Window lock. Now I ain't got to worry about it. I don't have to tell them. If they want to roll it down, they have to ask me first. Even if they hit the button, it don't matter. I can't lose because I thought. Can lose if I just act. You can't lose when you think. You can't lose when you think. The better you think, the more you win. Period. The higher you think, the easier you win. That's it. That's it. The better you think, the more you win. The higher level of thinking you can achieve by repetition, by constantly thinking about thinking and using your mind and exercising it properly to build the skill of thought, of proper thought, the more you'll win and the easier you'll win. You won't have your windows rolled down. You just won't do it. You'll have the door locks. You'll have the window locks on. You'll do things that are a reflection of your thought that will lessen the wear and tear on your body. As I've said before, a lot of us are wearing our behind out because we won't use our mind. We're just unwilling to sit down and think better, sharper, clear. We think it's like some kind of positive thinking. We think it's some kind of fairy tale and some kind of incense and magic angel dust and all the other stuff. It's not. It's simply something as simple as putting the window locks on your window so you don't have to try to remember. Or then get mad when somebody did it without asking or without knowing or forgot that you told them. You could have done everything and they still, oh, God, I forgot. But you told them you did something, still didn't work. You took the test, still didn't pass. The more you think, the better you'll win. The more often you'll win. And the better you think, the easier it'll be. This is, as I always say, this is not positive thinking. This is not just something to make you feel better while it's going bad, to make you be okay with it while it's going wrong. It's to turn empty and dark into light. It's to turn empty and dark, what you don't want, or just where you are, into what you do want. To good and very good. To good and very good. That is the way your life should be, good and very good. That's the way our lives should be, good and very good. Not just enough to get by, Hey man, what's up? How's it going? Man, man, I can't call it. Well, who can? Man, I ain't complaining. Nobody, I'm not gonna complain. Nobody gonna listen anyway. That the best you got? Like people just be throwing away. People just throw away days like we getting them back. Throwing away days and just all kind of insanity. Do not waste your time. Don't waste your time. Time is your life. Your life is comprised of time. And your opportunities are based on your time. You only have as many opportunities as you have time. So when you're just wasting time, you're wasting opportunities. And yet everybody's looking for one. Everybody's looking for a hustle, a hookup, a side job, a side deal, a side gig. Everybody's looking for something extra, but won't even use well what they have. We don't need more than what we have. We have to learn how to use what we have. Meaning we have everything inside of us to have to experience anything, any thought we have. We can literally bring that into let there be. And we can literally experience every thought we have. We couldn't have a thought if we couldn't experience it. A thought that we want, a desire that we want. We couldn't have it. It couldn't come to our mind. And it doesn't come to our mind to not have it. It comes to our mind to have it. But you have to say, your mind is the medium. Let there be. Your higher self gives your brain a thought, and then your thought says, and then you have to say, well, do I agree with that or do I not? That's free will. That's actually your free will. Your free will is to agree or not with a thought. Your behavior is governed by the thoughts you've already accepted. Whether it's to be or not something, be or not be, to do or not do, that is what your behavior is governed by. You don't have free will there. You only have free will in what you accept to be true. To be something, to not be something, to have something, to not have something, that is the only place your free will lies. That is the only creative aspect of you. What did it say? Emptiness, dark, and went from light to good. There's no hammers broken out. There was nobody, God didn't put his boots on. It's not a physical thing. That's not what creation is. Creation is not physical. Creation is mental. Assembly is physical. Putting something together that's not creation. It's assembly. Those are different things. You have to understand the difference. You have to understand where creation starts. Creation starts in the mind. It is your thought. What are you thinking? What are you thinking and feeling, emotionalizing and feeling to be true? What is it you're creating? That is creation. Your physical body doesn't create anything. It's only assembling what is created. It is creation, assembly, and then product or outcome. That's it. This is mental. This is physical. And this is what you experience in your world. And this is your world. This is what you're thinking about it. This is what you're doing about it. And this is what you're getting. And it's in that order. It is creation, assembly, and product outcome. It is mental, physical, then your expression. What's happening in your world. Everything that you, like I said, look at your body. The first thing outside of you is your body. Look at your body. Then look at your body as a part of your world. Look at everything from your body out. You have went through this process every time in this order, period. No exceptions, no blackout dates, no discounts, no hookups, no side doors, no, I got the hookup, doesn't work. Everything is going in this order. Everything is going in that order. When you understand that, you can sit down where you are today, right now, and decide what you are going to use this process to experience. You can pick anything. Any area of your life, any aspect of yourself, of your world, of your experience. With this equation, you can have anything in your life. With this equation, you already are getting and already have everything in your life. So we're not creating a new equation. We're just becoming conscious and aware. When you're teaching, like the teachers we have here, you're not creating some new mathematical equation. You're just explaining something that exists to someone who doesn't know it exists or doesn't know how to use it. Creation, assembly, outcome, A squared, B squared, C squared. It's just a theorem. It's just how it works. And you can use that to create anything in your life. Your health, your money, your business, the expansion of your business, the growth of your business, how much money you make, how much health you have, how easy your health is, your safety, your security, your peace, your joy, your relationships. You're literally use this equation for everything. What is it I want to create? What is it I want? That's my thought life. What do I want? What am I thinking? What do I want to be a part of in my world? Right? Then you
Coach,
say,
I
okay,
can't
cool.
see the back
Now I'm
part.
gonna
You said it's mental,
physical,
physical.
and then your world, the expression.
Oh,
Your world. Man, woman, child. That's it. You sit down and you say, what do I want? I want to make 5,000 a month. Okay. I want to make 5,000. What would it be like if I made 5,000 a month? What would I do? Now what you're doing is you're forming that world in yourself. You're forming a vision of not only what it is, but what it's like. What it's like. See, the reason people have a hard time with a lot of things is because they either don't know what they want or they don't know what it would be like to have it. And so then they get stuck. But you don't have to have a specific thing you want. You just may want to feel a specific way about your life. You just may want to say, man, I just want a good life. I want to feel good. I want everything to just be good. I just want my life to be good. Well, you know what you mean when you say that. Your higher self knows what you mean when you say that. You don't have to write a dissertation or some kind of thesis over it. It's you talking to you. When this character said, let there be light, they didn't have to say, well, what kind of light? Ultraviolet light? What, you want a light bulb? Or do you want to, it knows what you're talking about because it's you. It's your non-physical self talking to your physical self. That's it. It knows. What would it be like to have it? Not because you've already had it by experience, but what would you be doing if you had $1 million? If you were a millionaire, what would you be doing? What could you imagine yourself doing? You don't have to know what it feels like to be a millionaire if you've never been one. How could you know? But you can know what you would be doing and what that would feel like. You'd be doing certain things because you were one. And everything you did would be because you were what you wanted to be. So you'd be doing the things you wanted to do. You know how those feel. That's why you want to do them. And when you can think and emotionalize that thought by, man, imagining what you'd be doing with it, how you'd feel if you had your own business, or how you'd feel if your health was just perfect, how you'd feel if you could run as fast as you wanted, how you'd feel if you were in the relationship you wanted, how you'd feel if you had a house because you wanted to buy one, but maybe your credit's not the best, or this or that, but it doesn't matter. With God, all things are possible. With your thought, with the ability to think and feel yourself to be something, that's all it takes. Imagine yourself having a housewarming party. Imagine yourself saying, oh, wow, I didn't know you wanted to live in this city. Imagine the conversations you'd have as a result of what you want, of having what you wanted. You have to think and say before you see. We won't give ourselves permission to dream because it seems illogical or unreasonable because you can't see it. But this character didn't get to skip this equation. Didn't get to, right? It said, let there be. Then it saw. It didn't see before it said. It didn't say before it thought. You can't see before you think. And if you're unwilling to think that of yourself, that you're good enough, or that your health is good, or that you're wealthy, or that you're whatever, if you're unwilling to do that, you are not going to be able to see it. Not because it's impossible, it's because you are the possibility. You are the power. If you don't turn the light on, don't be mad it's dark. If you won't change your thinking, if you won't change what you believe is possible for you, what you think is possible for you, you can't have a different outcome, because the only reason you have the outcome you have is because you already think the way you think. That's why you are what you are. What did Joe Dispenza in there? He said, you cannot change your personal life without changing your personality. The way you think and feel and therefore act. Your personal life is a reflection of your personality. Your personality are the thoughts, feelings, and behaviors you have as a result of the person you are. And the person you are is the reflection of who your self-concept and your self-esteem. What you think of yourself and how you value forms that, which goes that to that to that. If you're unwilling to change it, you're only going to get what you already are willing to have or be. You can't outwork it, can't out hustle it, can't out find it, you can't trick it. There's no discounts, there's no coupons, there's none of that. It's not Foot Locker. You ain't got no friends that work here. They're not gonna say, they're not gonna put no J's on the side for you. Not gonna work, right? You have to go through the process. But the process is challenging because we have been conditioned from very young to think that it has to be something else. If you want something more, okay, yeah, but the people who work the hardest make the least amount of money generally. People doing the hardest labor generally are making the least money. I Fresno in California, Central California, where they grow almonds and cherries, and they out there working. And my best English, I done seen it, and it was hot. And they out there getting it, and they're not making any money. Those workers. The people who are making the money, guess what they're doing? In the shade. Whether it's in the car or the house. They're in shade. Steph Curry over here makes, was it 50 million? How much you think he made? And he not playing. And probably can't play. The thinker's always making more money than the doer. I don't care what industry you're in. Doesn't matter how good you physically are. The person, the best thinker, the highest thinker in the environment is always the most successful, the most powerful. They always have the best of whatever the environment has to offer. And then it goes down from there. So when we come here every Saturday, when we take these Saturday lessons and we apply them to our lives, because you must apply them. It's different being in the passenger seat than it is behind the wheel. And if all you do is know about driving or know that driving exists, that's not the same thing as being a driver. If you know of this information and know that it exists, that's not the same thing as applying it, so that you experientially know. You can talk about being a driver, talk about being pregnant, talk about being a parent, talk about this. You can talk about a whole bunch of things. But once you start living it and doing it, it's a whole different thing. There are different levels of knowledge. And there's no substitute for doing. Doesn't mean you have to do in ignorance. Doesn't mean you can't listen. There's no substitute for doing. And doing will cause you the most pain in ignorance. If you don't know what you're doing while you are doing it, cut your hand off, cut your head off, cut your fingers off, fall down, slip, you can do it. There's a whole lot of pain that goes into doing in ignorance. It is important to guide your mind, guard your mind, protect your mind, clean your mind, keep your mind clear. Choose your thoughts. Think about what you're thinking. And is the outcome of that thought what you want to eat, to wear, to feel. Is that what you want to live? That's why we're here. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about it because we know we're owners and we're creators of our lives. We are the one that says, let there be. Because in that book, the person that said, let there be, what is their name? That character's name in that we read. I said, let there be light. What is their name?
God.
Yeah, but what is their name? Come on, man. I see some of y'all. I'm gonna start calling. Huh?
There's nobody there to define them. They don't have a name.
I'm just checking to make sure I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt.
I'm not giving nobody nothing. Jack. What is the name of the character that said, let there be light?
I.
Okay, it's us.
Oh, is it? I don't hear anything either.
Say it again.
Yeah, we over here answering.
I am.
Oh, cool.
Here we go.
So when I ask you how you're doing in full sentence, what do you say?
I am good.
I am good. So then what are you saying?
God is good.
Let there be good. That's what you're saying. I am is saying everything. God is saying everything. I am, and that lets you know that's who you are. That's why you're saying the same thing. You name yourself the same thing. I am. How are you doing? I am fine. Let there be fine. I am good. Let there be good. I am broke. Let there be broke. I am poor. Let there be poor. I am mad. Let there be mad. But whatever there is a thought of, what else is there?
Feeling.
And that leads to
Outcome.
So, people say, stop crying. I'm going to give you something to cry about. Remember those?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm going to give you something to cry about. Right? Parents were good with that one back in the day.
Said it in Spanish too.
Right? Yeah. So when you say let there be good. Yeah, but whatever you say, let there be, guess what it is? Whenever you say, I am, you're saying, let there be. Whatever you attach to that, do you know what that is? Can you go back to that? Yep. Let's see. Let me see. Go down a little bit. Go down. Yep. Keep going that way. Okay. Okay. Who wants to read? I need somebody to read verse 31.
God saw all that he had made, and it was very good. And there evening, and there was morning, the sixth day.
Cool. So you said God saw all that it made, and it was what?
Very good.
Very good. Do you know what that means? Do you know what that's really saying? God saw all that it made, and it was good and very good. Do you know what that means?
God was happy with self. That includes us.
Cool. Nope. This is getting ready. Everybody get some ice. This is getting ready to punch you right in the face. Whatever you put in between this sentence, let there be poverty. Guess what? That's good. And very good. Cool. My mom used to say all the time, you like it, I love it.
Magnifies.
It's saying, I got what I wanted. I said, let there be. And I'm the only one saying, I am, is the only one saying, let there be poverty. Is there someone else to say, I veto that? Is there somebody taking, is there a democracy? Is there somebody else that gets another vote? Whatever you say, I am. Whatever you say, let there be. Whatever you put in the middle of that is good and very good. So when you're praying, quote unquote, to God to feel better, yeah, look at what you're thinking. Look at what you're feeling to be true. Look at what you're saying. You're making a declaration and then trying to veto it. I'm sick. No, I'm not. I'm sick. No, I'm not. I'm happy. No, I'm not. I got wealthy. No, I'm not. You're canceling out your own stuff. And what does it say? A double-minded man is double-minded mind is unstable in all its ways. Let it not think it or receive anything. Don't think you're gonna get anything. You being a good person, you just like that person taking that math test. Don't matter how hard you work and how nice you are, and took a nice shower and everything, brush your teeth, everything ready to go, nice pencil, and you still don't know anything. You're still not giving the right answer. You're not going to get the right outcome. Whatever you put after let there be, whatever you put to I am, to the law of mind is good and very good. It doesn't question it, doesn't doubt it, doesn't care, because you are the only power. You are the I am. You are God. You are that consciousness that decides what its world is comprised of. What did it say? God saw all that it made, and how did it make? By saying, let there be. When you say I am, you're saying, let there be. That is what you are saying. So when you attach poverty to that, sick, struggle, this and that and that and this, okay, you're saying let there be, and it's good and very good. If you want to, what we're encouraging you to do now is change what you put in here. Let it be success. Let it be ease. Let it be joy. Let it be peace. Let it be wealth. Let it be health. Let it be happiness. Right? Let it be something that's good and very good that you're going to say is good and very good. Understand that. Whatever you're saying is what you're seeing. You don't see nothing before you say it, before you know it is so. Nothing. Nothing was created that way. Nothing. The earth was dark before it said. Same thing. Your world is dark before you say. Your world is dark before you think. So everything that has now come to light, come to soul, come to truth, come to physical expression is because you have thought and said. Whether it is your own thinking and saying that you have used or you've accepted someone else's. All right. Well, that was wonderful. I intend that you all were able to get some good stuff that you can sit down with when you leave here today and start saying something different. Start thinking something different before you say. Watch what you say because it's a reflection of what you're thinking. What did it say? Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So when you had a Freudian slip, yeah, you just let something come out that was been in there, but you thought it. You've been thinking it. It didn't just start. Just like habits don't just start. It takes time. That didn't just your mouth. It takes time. You were in there for a minute, and you just left the gate open, and it got out. Right? Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So you have to drill in habits and consciousness so that it becomes autopilot, your success, your peace, your joy, your happiness. Right? All right. Anyone have any questions? Anything they want to say before get you up out of here and on your nice Saturday?
I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you, Coach Lucky.
My pleasure, brother. Always good to see you.
Yeah, I mean, today was like a lot of clarity. It wasn't anything that like I didn't know, but it was just certain things that you said that like stuck. Like the whole time, like don't waste your time because we only have so many opportunities, and when you waste that opportunity, you can never get it back. And then also the thinking part, like how I know I've been guilty of wearing myself out doing physical labor and like just working, all because I didn't sit down and like think about something. So the importance of just like thinking and clearing that time, whether it's meditation or whatever, just to sit and like just think, use your mind and, like you said, not your behind. So
Yeah,
I got that one.
yeah. Thanks, Tosh. Good to see you.
Yeah, always.
Always. All right. Well, wonderful, wonderful. Hey, well, as always, thank you all for coming. Thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing and listening. And most important part now is you've heard, be a doer. Be a doer of whatever has meaning and value to you that you want to apply to prove. We're here to prove things. We're not here to talk and laugh and have a good time and it not have any value. We're here to actually apply and employ what we heard to prove it. This is a proving business. We're living. We got to get it now. There's no tomorrow and 3 days. Get it now. So I want you to apply what you've learned and see how it works on your behalf. Prove it. It's true. This is not designed to be a religion or some kind of support group or some kind of cult where we're just up in here just chilling every weekend. No, take it and apply whatever you can digest right now. Apply it and see how it works in your world. Be a doer, not a hearer only, deceiving yourself. If you only hear and don't do, you're deceiving yourself. It's like that passenger thinking they know what it's like to drive just because they're watching you. Don't matter how close they are to the wheel. If they ain't behind it, that's it. Right? So apply it. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend, wonderful day, wonderful week. And we'll definitely circle back and catch you guys next Saturday.
Good stuff, Coach Lucky. Thank you.
Good to you all. Yes, sir. Good to see you, Justin. Good to see you all. Peace.